So maybe turning the prompter knob wasn't your calling.
No,
but,
not my calling.
But the journalism realm was. And
Yes.
I understand that after that is when you ended up at Hollywood Life.
Yeah. So I was at CNN for a year. And I was like, I do not like breaking news.
Yeah. Well, it's a tough job. I would love to just get into a little bit of the Hollywood Life time. I want to know what it was like working for Bonnie Fuller. And I'll go into some color around this when I do the post-production, because obviously it's a bit of a microcosm to know exactly what the Bonnie Fuller magic machine is.
Yeah.
It's a New York journalist, PR girl kind of knowing, but it is magic and she is a force. And I want to know what it was like to work for Bonnie and also what it was like doing celebrity coverage at that time.
Well, I'm actually seeing Bonnie in just a couple days, and she was at my house. We had a Christmas party that she came to. Bonnie was the editor-in-chief of Glamour, Mary Claire. She created Us Weekly magazine, and she created the whole Stars Are Just Like Us, and she created the Glamour Women of the Year Awards. And at one point she ran American Media, which ran Star Magazine, the National Enquirer, and she was the highest paid editor at one point. So when I came across Bonnie's path, she was no longer doing those things. She was starting this website, and I met a guy named David Kaplan, who was an editor at People magazine that we both know, who introduced me to Bonnie and said she's looking to hire young, hungry reporters. She interviewed me. She liked the fact that I had come from CNN, and she hired me. And I stayed with her for the next 7 years. And it was the toughest thing I've ever experienced. But it's where I learned, it's really where I learned everything. So I worked nonstop. I worked all the time. I worked every single weekend. I was basically, she had an assistant, but that was not enough. I would basically be her assistant and writing articles. I did not know how to write at all. And she told me early on that you need to go out at night. And I was like, what do you mean I need to go out at night? I was kind of a homebody. She wanted me out at every single bar, restaurant where celebrities were. And that sounds fun. That was not that alone. I have no money. There's no expense account. And I'm going out and I'm spying on celebrities or waiting outside of Jennifer Aniston's apartment to see if she's coming out because everyone thinks she has a baby bump. Looking back, it's so cringe. And go to every single movie premiere. I swear to you, I would go to 5 movie premieres a week, which sounds so cool. I would stand in the freezing cold, the last spot on the carpet. My feet hurt because I would be wearing heels. Eventually I learned, skip the heels. And I would just try to get Meryl Streep or try to get Oprah or try to get somebody to stop and talk to me. I'd maybe get a sentence or two. And there was no HR. I mean, it was just Wild West. It was true celebrity gossip. It was who's dating who's pregnant or not, who's Justin Bieber dating. And it was also the teeny bopper stars. But it's one thing to read about that or read Gawker at the time or TMZ, but it's another thing to be in it and reporting. And there were times where I just was this hurts my soul. It doesn't feel right. I don't want to report these things. It feels so personal. I have to care about something that I really don't care about.
Right. And this was the time when Britney was shaving her head and busting in windows with umbrellas. We were tearing some of these celebrities down to a point where they were broken forever. So how have you seen things change?
Well, I mean, a lot of outlets still exist that cover that type of celebrity gossip. And obviously there's an appetite and a voyeurism, and social media has also taken over that where, every single second there's, website, there's entire accounts on Instagram or TikTok that are dedicated, and there's paparazzi nonstop. And now everybody has a cell phone. So you can just be sitting next to a celebrity and be taking pictures of Taylor and Travis and things like that. And I think gossip's been around forever and people are always going to be interested. I just outgrew it. I mean, I couldn't be doing that type of, if you want to call it journalism. I mean, I really was sort of embarrassed by it, but it's maybe looking back, I was never happy with myself for the content, right? Obviously there were exceptions to the rule there. There were stories and things I was proud of, the time that I went into Hillary Clinton's office that was a few floors above us. And I called CNN and let them know that Hillary was running for president. And they were like, what? And I'm like, no, I swear she is. And I wrote it for Hollywood Life. And I was the first outlet to do that.
Wait, can you just take us through that story from beginning to end? I love that story.
at the Hollywood Life offices, and Hillary Clinton was like coming in and out of the building that we were all in. And so I would like stop and take a picture with her. And I went up to her floor one evening and I was like walking around. I'm like, wow, this looks like a campaign office. If I guess I've never seen one, but I assume this is one. And I remember calling Gary and and he put me in touch with somebody else at CNN, I think. And I was like, she has her campaign headquarters. She's going to run for president. And yeah, this was the first time she was running for president. And so I know that they like sent reporters and people over and I told them the address of where it was, but I wrote something for Hollywood Life. And I remember when I went to go interview for CNN, because I made my way back to CNN several years later and worked for them and had a really wonderful experience. And I remember like showing the person who was hiring me at the time, like, look, I wrote that Hillary Clinton was running for president. And it's all in pink and yellow font. It's like, so, but he, I really, I always had a nose for news, right? Mm-hmm. I've always known I'm definitely living in the right profession. Like this profession is perfect for my complicated persona, my type A, hungry, talkative personality,
Yeah. So then you did also the Gossip Table, which just, that was a fun stop on your stopover.
So I had a morning TV show that Bonnie agreed. So like there was a lot of beautiful, good things, right? I mean, Bonnie always said, if you go, you get. Right? Like go out there, pick up the phone and call somebody, right? I learned how to call, the police to, public information officers. Like I learned how to like call publicists and agents. I met everybody who ran Hollywood, whether they took me seriously or not, but I met everybody, right? I knew my way in and out of this city and I made lifelong friends. I met you along the way. And I learned that like, you got to work more than 9 to 5. Like it's Dolly said 9 to 5, but it's more than 9 to 5. I've got blisters all over my feet. And then a few years later, like my blisters toughened up and so did my spirit in a way. And I became tough and I was able to like, the city was chewing me up when I got here. And then in a few years, I was like finding myself and I wasn't the last person on the carpet anymore. And I was moving up a little bit. I was getting invited to things. I was getting invited to things with a guest. And so I was breaking some stories. And even though there were stories that I didn't feel proud of that I was covering at the time and my hands were tied, I really learned how to, find my television presence. We launched a YouTube channel that I was really proud of. And I did a ton of television. I would be on like The Talk and I would be on, local TV. And I had, I went back and did TV segments on CNN. They're like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm working for Hollywood Life and I'm going to be on TV talking about this. And so, Bonnie gave me so many opportunities. And then there was a TV show called The Gossip Table, and they came knocking at VH1 and they said, we're doing basically The View, but for gossip with various gossip reporters. And I did that for 2 years, every single day in the studios where they filmed TRL. I mean, it was such a pinch me moment. We had a massive staff of people. Some of the people actually work here at 30 Rock. I'll run into like camera guys and people I worked with. It was so cool. And like during this time, like I met my husband and got married. It was like this cool time to be in New York. And then the show got canceled and I was, approaching 30. And I was like, I want to do something different. I want to like elevate it. I want to do something a bit more serious.